All right, so this question is about helping students who are trying to understand how to count to 10. The big idea is one-to-one correspondence, also using concrete objects, which is an idea that we're going to come back to a little bit later in these lessons as well. And if you look at the choices that we have, all of them are really great to help students with ideas about 10. For example, a number line showing integers that goes to 10. However, that integer number line is a little too advanced for students who are just learning to count to 10. Another idea they had was combinations using pictures of objects that combine to 10. For example, you could show 4 circles and 6 circles and then count all the circles to understand that 4 circles and 6 circles combined would be 10. Again, that's a great thing to do with students, but not students who are just learning to count to 10. That's a little bit too advanced. Another idea was maybe having a card with 10 objects on it and kind of matching it up with the number 10 to realize that this number matches with those objects on that card. Again, that's a great thing to do, but it's a little advanced for students who are just learning to count to 10. So the answer that we want to go with is the one that uses concrete objects, objects you could hold and move around and kind of play with. And that was the one about counting the bears. So if you counted or sorted the bears, and they were actually concrete objects, that's going to help students count to 10 and also build that one-to-one correspondence. Now, I don't have bears right now, so I'm going to use these markers. So let's say the question is, to a student who's just learning to count to 10, how many markers are right here? Well, what we want the students to be able to do, which is a skill above just counting and saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You could count to 10 like that if you're a young child without having the one-to-one correspondence. The one-to-one correspondence is when you say the number 1, it matches with one object. So there's 1. There's 2. So now it matches with 2 objects. So again, this is the skill that's a little bit above just saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're matching each number that we say with an object. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 markers. So saying the numbers as you count the physical objects, the concrete objects, that's building that one-to-one correspondence. It's helping the students be able to count to 10. Now again, they could do this with markers, they could do it with counting bears like in the question. Really any concrete physical object to count like that. Once you build that and that gets really strong, counting those objects, then you could do some things like maybe breaking it down to do 2 different sets that maybe combine to 10. You could then move to the next step. Or you can move to the step of maybe they're not concrete objects, maybe they're on a card and you'd have to count them on the card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to match it with the numeral 10. Again, these are a little bit more advanced than just counting the physical objects. And certainly looking at an integer number line, especially if it has some negative integers, that would be even more advanced. So all of these ideas are great ideas, but we want to focus on the one where the students are first learning to count to 10. So in the Praxis test, you've got to be ready for knowing the math yourself, but also knowing how to teach the math to a child, the best strategies to use to make the math make sense to a child, and at what level are they ready. So knowing that a student might not be ready for this, but they are ready for this. There you go.